What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Neek the Podcast. I am the geriatric geek samurai Kiku, and along with me, as always, is of course our demon and sour cream, the great and effervescent Raish Alfini. Josh, what's going on, man?
Did you just call me effervescent?
That's a great word.
Or evanescence?
No, I would never call you Evanescence.
I would hope not.
I don't think you could sing that high, even if I drop kicked you in the balls.
But could you wake me up inside?
It would wake him up inside.
Oh, stop that shit now. And of course, the third party tonight, our luscious Lady Locks and Lady Argonians. Our slow silver, Nicholas Patrick Lealy.
Let's stop. Okay, first of all, I don't even know where to start. First of all, you use effervescent for him, and I get slow silver again?
Yes.
What the fuck happened here?
Is Nick Nubian, though? That's the real question.
Nick Nubian. No, he's not.
Nick Nubian. That sounds like a porn star from Hoth. Thanks, guys. Next up is Nick Nubian.
Of Naboo.
Of Naboo.
That's great. I could not have planned that better if I tried.
No, that's great one-liners thrown out there. But tonight, guys, I got a special treat for you. I'm not going to be steering the ship. I'm going to be one of the assholes in the background. Tonight, the captain, oh my captain, will be our demon sour cream, Josh Rachel Finney. Josh, take it away.
Wait, so you're just an asshole in the background and not an asshole in general? I'm kidding. We love you.
He's allowed to say he's the captain now.
I have never wanted someone to wake up in the middle of the night with dry mouth so bad and then stub his toe on everything walking to the refrigerator.
Oh, come on. You know that was good.
You're a dick. And I hope you get dickish things happening to you.
But guys, kicking off our show tonight is a plethora of Star Wars news straight from London and Star Wars Celebration. The upcoming Han Solo anthology film finally found its lead. Back in May, we reported that Alden...
You're going to fuck it up. I know you are. You're going to do it.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time...
His name is Aaron Reich.
Aaron Reich. Alden Ehrenreich. We spent a lot of time trying to get me to pronounce this correctly before the show. So I'm going to say it again because I'm feeling really good about myself right now. Alden Ehrenreich has been cast as the famed smuggler, and we can now confirm it's true. Confirmed by Chris Miller and Phil Lord at Star Wars Celebration, Ehrenreich was selected from over 2,500 actors, and it was said by the directors that he was the very first actor to actually audition for the role. In addition, his final screen test came with both Chewbacca and the Millennium Falcon.
We don't need a whatever. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I am staunchly in believing that we don't need a Han Solo,
Solo film.
Right, Han Solo solo film.
So I was too, until I saw the care that they're taking with this. I kind of expressed my thoughts when we got down to the three finalists of Aaron Reich, Taron Egerton, and Jack Raynor. Mm-hmm. And I said, if those were the three they narrowed it down to, I would be okay with any of those. It's clear that they took it, very, very seriously from the initial reports we had heard where names like Dave Franco were being thrown around.
Oh. Yeah.
If those were the three you came down to, I could have lived with any of those three, and especially now that, we know the final screen test included not only one in costume, but with Chewbacca, and they're treating the Falcon as a character, too. The Falcon very much is a character of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot to me right there, and hearing what the directors had to say at Star Wars Celebration, what Kathy Kennedy had to say, and what Kiri Hart, the VP of Story, had to say, they're taking an awful lot of care with this. They're taking it very seriously. Do we need it? No. Is it going to be really, really cool? Hell yeah.
I kind of feel like that the movie's going to be good because Alden Ehrenreich is a great actor, but it also cheapens the death of Han Solo so soon in The Force Awakens to me. It's like, he's dead, but we're going to give you a younger movie for you guys to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not going to feel that, echo of pain.
So, I feel the opposite. By the time this comes out, Episode 8 will have already come out. So that Sting will be gone. There will be a new Sting in Episode 8, which I strongly suspect will be either the passing of Princess Leia or Luke Skywalker. So something else tragic will happen in Episode 8. You know, maybe the complete fall of the Republic, not just the destruction of Hosnia. Um, I think it doesn't cheapen the death. I think it softens it, and in a way, if they do this in ways that I've theorized with y'all before, I don't know if I've ever mentioned them on the show. There's some ways you could still bring Harrison Ford into this, and I think could be done really, really, really cool. For example, you know, maybe use some of that de-aging that we've used on Michael Douglas before, or on Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in the X-Men films.
Yeah.
Him talking to a young Ben Solo, telling him about, you know, his earliest adventures, you know, how he met Chewbacca and Lando, you know, while they're sitting around in the Falcon. I think that could be a really, really, really cool way to still keep that spirit alive. But I don't think it cheapens it at all. I think, in a way, it's showing reverence for the character, because it's not like they're recasting him and putting him into Episode 9 or something.
Yeah.
It's not like Harrison Ford died and they recast the role.
What do you think the general feel for the movie is? Do you think it's going to be more of the family-friendly Star Wars that we've seen, or do you think it'll take like the Rogue One route, like Chris Pine from Star Trek, very roguish, like constant action?
The anthology is supposed to deviate from the main like feel and tone, at least from what we expected from Rogue One.
Right.
That they were going to do some different things. Now, is Han Solo still going to be family-friendly? Yes.
But it's Han Solo, it has to be.
Yeah, but is it going to strafe the line a little bit more? Probably.
I think Han Solo has a really interesting gray area that you can explore.
Right.
I think with a movie that has Han, Chewie, and presumably Lando at its core, you don't have to, but it would be a good idea to make it more family-friendly, because that's probably going to be your highest-grossing anthology film, easily. Those are very familiar names, especially if it's the rumored Fett Solo film we've heard about, then obviously you're going to take that and run with it.
Speaking of run, do you think we're going to see the Kessel Run?
I hope so. I was actually talking about that at dinner tonight with a friend, that I would love for nothing more than to see that as part of this. Like, this is supposed to be helping grow his legend, his earliest adventures. You know, it's him in his early 20s is what the directors were saying. There's a lot of room to do things. Then nothing exists in canon anymore before that cantina. There's so much you can do. He presumably will have a small cameo in Rogue One. That's part of the reason they're doing the reshoots. There's so much you can do. And just my final thought, you know, they picked a phenomenal actor to go do it with. If you need reference for him, go see Hail Caesar. He's the standout actor in that movie.
Yeah.
Hey guys, any final thoughts before we move on?
It's a Star Wars movie. We're all going to go see it. We're going to love it because we're fans and fanatics.
Right.
I had too much cheese tonight.
I'm eating a lot of cheese right now. Are you making fun
You guys both have problems. We're moving on. In brief Rogue One news, a new behind-the-scenes video was revealed alongside a panel of cast and crew members and a sizzle reel that was shown only to Celebration attendees. The sizzle reel confirmed the return of Darth Vader, amongst other quick snippets, some of which we'd seen before. Finally, also, Kathleen Kennedy stated it's highly unlikely that Rogue One will feature the traditional opening crawl of the franchise in an effort to differentiate the standalone films from the core series. So, a couple of things. One, what do we think about Alan Tudyk as a motion capture droid? We saw him for the first time this weekend.
Alan Tudyk.
He could shit on my chest. Never mind. He's a great actor. I love him.
I had the same sentiments as Nick. I just don't know
Different
about
words,
how
yeah,
far I
right.
would go. I mean, I might let him pee in my butt.
Are we still NSFW? Where's Ray to stop us?
I think we're going to get banned from iTunes now. Wow.
Okay, back on track though. Alan Tudyk has been some of the best parts of a couple, like Tucker and Dale versus Evil in Transformers 3. He was the best part of that.
So I got to ask you, Kiku, I know you saw some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that they showed.
Yes.
Did either of you guys get to see the panel that they did?
I did not.
Okay, so in the actual panel, when everybody was up there on stage, Tudyk got to talk for a few minutes about his droid. I don't have his name offhand right now, but he's a former Imperial droid who's been reprogrammed by Diego Luna's character, Cassian Andor, to serve the rebellion. And when they reprogrammed him, they deleted some key components of him.
Wait. Is he HK?
No. No.
He's the back of my chair there.
They deleted some key components, so he doesn't quite know how to act, and he says inappropriate things at inappropriate times.
So he's HK?
One of the scenes they showed was Tudyk was in a mocap suit in a scene with Felicity Jones and Diego Luna, and Felicity gives him her backpack, and she turns around, walks away with Diego, and Tudyk looks at it, kind of looks back at the camera, drops it, and then turns around to walk away. Just little nuances like that, I think, are going to help make this movie really funny and tense at the same time. You know you're just waiting for him to screw up. But on top of that, I mean, there were several really funny things that happened in this panel. Ben Mendelsohn came out in complete Imperial director garb, flanked by shadow troopers. And then did not sit down with the rest of the panel. He just went backstage, which was really funny. And then came out very noticeably drunk and kissed Gwendolyn Christie, who asked for another kiss.
Yeah.
They had a very interesting time in London at this panel, but not doing a traditional crawl. Good idea, bad idea?
I think it's good.
I don't.
You
Why?
don't.
I don't. I don't see the point in differentiating the movies if it's all Star Wars. Like, you know, the opening crawl. I'll put it to you like this. All right. When and Josh, this is something you and I talked about when we went to go see The Force Awakens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we sat down, and the music started, and the crawl happened. We teared up, right?
I full on sobbed when
Yeah.
I saw the words "Luke Skywalker has vanished."
And I just kind of feel like the crawl is the most Star Wars thing out of anything. You know what I mean? When people have used it for parody or satire, you know where it comes from. Like, that is the most Star Wars thing that you have, is the music and the crawl. So I mean, like, I get that they don't want people to be like, oh, this is, you know, part of the main stuff, but it's still Star Wars. Like, leave it. Let it be Star Wars. Who cares?
So I fully agree on that count. At the same time, I also see where Gareth Edwards himself comes from. Gareth Edwards made a small statement about it when he was asked, outside of being with Kathleen, and he said he personally did not want it, not for this, you know, not because he didn't want to associate it with it. He said he would be all for having an opening crawl. He doesn't want one because he feels that when you do the opening crawl, people expect a numbered entry or a sequel to come after that. And he's like, I don't really know how you would do an opening crawl, how you would really set up what we're doing here. You already know what we're doing when you're going into this.
Yeah,
He's like, you never knew it going into these other movies. And so I get him from that standpoint, but I'm really hoping that this is just a huge smoke bomb and they actually will have one.
Yeah.
If at the very least it needs to open with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. If it doesn't open up with the fanfare, what's the point?
Yeah.
They might just want to throw people right into it. Like, you remember the opening to Star Trek Into Darkness, where it just goes right into Kirk and Bones running.
That is a terrible comparison.
But, like, seriously,
That is the worst thing you could ever say to me as a hardcore Star Wars fan.
hey,
I'm gonna compare this shit to Trek. How about it?
No, not even comparing it to Trek. Comparing it to Star Trek Into Darkness specifically.
Oh,
The opening. Let's not immediately get butthurt over it. That was a good opening. They're running through the woods, you know, and it drew you in before you knew that the movie was going to turn into Thor 2. Okay.
Nick, you're about to be dismissed.
Okay, go ahead.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help your case any.
I'm just trying to present a different approach. Okay.
Moving on, though, I think all of our favorite piece to come out of Star Wars Celebration, fan favorite Grand Admiral Thrawn will soon be returning to Star Wars canon. Speculation had been running rampant since the announcement of a sequel trilogy, and especially since last fall's Aftermath novel. Thrawn will first appear as the villain in Season 3 of Rebels before getting a new novel from famed author and Thrawn creator Timothy Zahn early next year, specifically in April. The novel will cover the time from Thrawn's first encounter with the Empire up until his appearance on Rebels, with some minor hints from Legends material and prior works of Timothy Zahn's that are no longer canonical. So take that as you will.
Yes.
It happened. It finally
Yes.
happened.
Yes. Thank you for putting him back in as canon and having Timothy Zahn write this book. I mean, I know Josh and I talked about it, and he doesn't want to get his hopes up. He doesn't want to get overhyped because that's like 2016, right? Just let's overhype everything and then be let down a little bit by it. But I am so stoked for this because that was the first set of Star Wars books I read back in the 90s. And it just having him come back to that character, to probably one of the most nefarious villains the Star Wars universe has ever seen, it amps me up. Even amps me up more that we are going to have the opportunity to interview him at next year's Pensacon after all of this stuff comes out. So
it's not just that he's a nefarious villain. It's that, for those of you who don't know the history of Star Wars was fading in popularity by 1991. And Timothy Zahn wrote what became known as the Thrawn trilogy, starting with Heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
Shot straight to #1 on the New York Times list. That trilogy, along with the Dark Empire comics, are credited with revitalizing the franchise and turning it into the absolute behemoth that it is now, with sparking the demand for the prequels.
And originally they thought that those books were going to be the next trilogy of movies for a while.
Yeah, for a long time. I mean, even when a sequel trilogy was announced, before everything got wiped at the Great Canon Purge of 2014, a lot of people thought that the Thrawn trilogy would be made into it, especially that the Force twins, Jacen and Jaina, would be brought in. And it's very clear that elements of that, Jacen Solo especially, has been brought in as Kylo Ren. It's the work of Timothy Zahn in that trilogy is still felt very, very much throughout the new canon of Star Wars, throughout the movies, the comics, everything. Like, you cannot go anywhere without feeling his influence. So for him now to say that there will be references to his old works makes me very excited, and I'm really hoping for Talon Karrde to make an appearance or get referenced. And I think it makes me hope for Mara Jade even more now. If we can get Thrawn, we can get Mara Jade.
Yes.
Because even if we never were to see Mara Jade on screen, I would be okay with that, because she was killed by Jacen Solo in the books. I would be okay with getting her and her dying at the Temple Massacre. There's just so much you can do now that Thrawn is in this universe. I was telling Kiku, I'm very cautiously optimistic because Thrawn is not only one of the greatest Star Wars characters to me, he's one of my all-time favorite fictional villains. He is the only villain I ever felt really went toe-to-toe with the main Star Wars heroes. The Emperor and Darth Vader, yeah, sure. Okay, in the movies, yeah, they did. The revitalized Emperor, he really didn't. They just blew it up for a comic. Thrawn is the only one in any novel who really posed a threat to them. He was utilizing a mad clone of Jorah Sabath, a Jedi Master. He had found Luke's severed hand from Cloud City and had bred a clone. It was crazy the things he was doing, and he's the greatest mastermind in the galaxy. It's likely if they hadn't defeated him when they did, he would have retaken Coruscant. There's so much to fear from this guy who was not a dark side Force user, whereas every villain they'd ever faced and faced since then was a Force user. He showed that a military mastermind was just as scary, if not more so. So that's what I say when I say we need to take this really cautiously. They started butchering the Thrawn character before the EU purge. Really, outside of that trilogy, they ruined the character.
Yeah.
Even Zahn's later works with the character really ruined him. So, I don't know if it's
Well,
done.
I think when you get to like that point though in the EU, which is one of the reasons that I think underlying everything, we were really glad that they purged it, was that there were too many people at the end writing Star Wars books, and it was just an absolute mess. Like I stopped reading them because I was like, I don't even know what the hell is going on anymore.
Right. Well, I'm saying, I mean, Zahn was still writing the books with Thrawn. He was the only one allowed near them. And even he was, I felt like even he was kind of butchering his own character, and that may have been the direction of the story group, but I don't know. It just, they were trying to draw out Thrawn's legacy, like, oh, people are trying to clone him, and no, like, stop, he's dead. Let's not draw this out. He was a great villain, let's not make it more than it was. We don't need to see his origins and this and that.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy to see this book. I was skeptical of him being included in Rebels, but the episode was screened immediately after his reveal, and he only has a small role in the premiere, but already his presence is commanding from those who have seen it. And that makes me very hopeful. It will actually get me to watch Rebels now.
Yeah.
I'll watch it
before
I see Thrawn realized.
And before we move on, if you have not read those books, even though it will not count really towards this new canon and whatnot, they are absolute must-reads for any Star Wars fan.
Yes.
Sit down, you will get hooked from the first chapter of Heir of the Empire all the way through to what was the third book, Dark Empire Rising?
Nope.
Or is that the second book?
That Dark Force Rising is the second. The Last Command is the final one. Last
Command. Because even the stuff that happens with Luke and Saboeth at the end is just, it's crazy. Like, I always felt that last battle between him and Saboeth was the basis for Force Unleashed.
Yeah. And I mean, really, I thought we had gotten Thrawn introduced last year. I remember running around screaming that Thrawn was back after reading Aftermath. There was a mysterious admiral cloaked in shadows, and the way he acted, his demeanor seemed very much like Thrawn. And then they gave him a name last Tuesday in Aftermath Life Debt, which made me really mad because my theory got debunked. And then Thrawn was confirmed to be alive 3 days later. I was really upset that after a year they told me I was wrong.
Playing with your emotions.
Yeah.
Why you do this. But moving on, we have one final piece of Star Wars news, really quick piece of news. The final 2 DLC packs for Battlefront were announced, taking place on the Death Star and on new planet Scarif from Rogue One. Additional heroes and villains were also announced. Chewbacca, Bossk, Jyn Erso, and Director Krennic were announced. This has caused a fair bit of controversy because we're getting characters and a planet from Rogue One, but nothing from The Force Awakens and nothing from the prequels. Yet this is all canonical with the original trilogy.
No, it's marketing. I mean, they want to make sure people don't see.
Bossk is a Death Star villain. I want you to think about that for a second. Not Tarkin, Bossk.
Star of his own sitcom. Who's the boss?
I hate you so much.
Get out.
I know.
Get out. I mean, I haven't cared about Battlefront since it was pretty much announced that there were no space battles. So
haven't they introduced the second one already too?
Yeah, there is one coming out next fall.
Do you think that's going to focus more on these movies, maybe?
Yes, that will focus on content from the entire saga. But at this point, the original trilogy's been milked dry. So why would I want stuff from the whole set?
They done fucked up.
Yeah, they have. This is a game that ideally, when it came out, the base game should have been much bigger, and it should have been really a base to have grown on for 2 to 3 years.
People wanted to play as Kylo Ren in Battlefront. That was like, we wanted to do that.
Dude, all I want to do is run around as a Rey, and I can't do that. I can't run around as Kylo Ren. I can't run around as Finn. I can't fly a ship as Poe. This is ruined for me at this point. Like, I'm not going to come back to this game. It's $10 now, and I'm still not going to go pick up the DLC for this.
Yeah.
So, there's still no space battles. Halo got space battles before this.
Yeah.
Call
of Duty is getting space battles before this.
Destiny will get space battles before this.
We have a Death Star map and no space battles. I just want that noted.
Yep.
No Obi-Wan Kenobi as a hero either. as far as I remember. But we have Bosk. So, moving on, though, in other video game news, Nintendo has announced the release of the NX. No, not really. Nintendo did, however, announce a mini NES system with 30 pre-programmed classics. The unit will retail for $60 and release on November 11th.
That's the best news ever.
Actually, do they have a list of the games yet?
Yep.
Yeah, it came out the same day the console was announced.
I didn't see the list.
Castlevania, Simon's Quest.
Castlevania 1 and 2, Balloon Fight, Legend of Zelda 2, Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3.
So already the greatest system ever made. That's all you gotta say. Already the greatest.
They're built in, and it's HDMI capable too. So.
Yeah, that's cool. The only thing that sucks is that it is set to those 30 games. You can't get any more after that. But that's actually something I'm really interested in. $60 for all of those games.
Oh yeah, I'm already buying one.
Well, on the virtual console, you can get those games for I think it's $8 to $10 a piece. So you're already like saving more money than
Plus, you get to play. Plus, you get to play it like original, like the original way it was meant to be played.
Yeah.
Hearing Castlevania 1 and 2 are on it with Legend of Zelda 1 and 2, it's just absolutely amazing. Like
Link's
that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Link's Awakening is probably one of the greatest games it is the greatest game from that generation of gaming. I have to take a look at the list, dude, because they put Akari Warriors on there or Contra. Definitely sold.
Josh, I think Contra might be on there. The very first Contra.
I don't remember. I mean, all I had to see was that obviously Mario and Zelda was on it, and I was sold. I wanted to get one anyways, just because nostalgia, and they're all pre-programmed in there. I don't have to have 30 cartridges sitting around. I don't have to spend money on all of these classics. They're all in one little unit. It's a tiny unit. It's like this big.
Yeah.
It'll fit real nicely into a little box. If I don't want it out all the time, if I only play it a few times, then I've already got my money's worth.
And everyone, they're smart because it's not just nostalgia for us. Everyone wants this because everyone played this system,
I mean, if Nintendo was smart, they would also do this for the Super Nintendo and the N64.
Yeah.
That's where the real money would be for me is I would honestly, if they announced an N64 one, I would skip the NES and Super Nintendo and go straight to the N64. As someone who just sold his N64, if they made a mini one without cartridges, oh man, day one.
Mario 64, yeah.
Mario 64, Super Smash Brothers, Donkey Kong.
Ocarina.
Okay. All right, I got the list up, and I think it needs to be read because there is some amazing stuff on this list.
Do it.
All right, so alphabetical order: Balloon Fight, Bubble Bobble, Castlevania 1 and 2, Donkey Kong Jr., Double Dragon 2: The Revenge. So excited. Dr. Mario, Excite Bike, Final Fantasy is going to be on this thing. The original Final Fantasy. Galaga, Ghosts and Goblins, which is still one of the hardest games you will ever play in your life.
Yeah.
Gradius, another difficult game. Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Mario Brothers. The original Mario Brothers. It's a lot different than Super Mario Brothers. Mega Man 2, Metroid. Metroid is on this. Ninja Gaiden, phenomenal. Pac-Man, Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream. Star Tropics. If you don't know what Star Tropics is, go look it up right now. Amazing game. Super C, which is Contra. That is Contra, so it is on the system. Super Mario Brothers 1 through 3. Tecmo Bowl. The San Francisco 49ers. We're all going to win. The Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. And that is it. Those are all 30 games. That is an amazing, amazing collection of old school Nintendo Entertainment System games. Stoked, $60. Go out and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's $2 a game. It's worth it. And you will be able to buy a second controller for this also.
And the controller is compatible with the Wii U and the NX, they've said, if you wanted to play it on those systems. So.
Yeah, so definitely excited. Nintendo is learning a little bit late that nostalgia sells, because it took them a while to kick in on this. Rare Replay, did really good last year. I loved Rare Replay when I picked it up. $30 for 30 games, hell yeah, that was awesome. My only regret was that there was no GoldenEye or Donkey Kong games on there.
Yeah.
And then, Nintendo released the Amiibo, and we're like, oh, we'll just release this. People are only going to use this for Smash Brothers. No, everyone wanted their favorite Nintendo characters.
Right.
And they didn't make enough for like a year, and then by the time they made them, nobody wanted them anymore. Pokemon Go, look how woefully underprepared they were for Pokemon Go's launch. The servers have been dog shit.
Yeah.
At best.
Getting better.
Getting better, but there's no excuse for them to have been as bad as they were.
They had no idea the response, though.
Well,
No,
there's a rumor behind it. No, there's a rumor behind the Pokemon Go launch that it was only supposed to be soft released in a certain amount of cities in the U.S., and people were hacking regions so that they could play it in their region, and it was overloading the server, so they decided to just launch it to everybody, and that is what caused the servers to crash. And that is the story that goes around many of the Pokemon Go groups that I have encountered while playing Pokemon Go almost every day.
I don't believe that, but okay. Moving on.
You move on.
Microsoft made waves this week by announcing it before Go its traditional Gamescom press conference this week. Or
So
this
they
year.
got shit!
No, the company already showed everything at E3 this year, in stark contrast to last year where they held some stuff off. And when the stuff they held off last year was also underprepared and should not have been showed off. Microsoft has also revealed that Crackdown 3 was pushed from this year due to the single player not yet being ready and will instead launch sometime in 2017. Finally, the Redmond-based company has confirmed that the Xbox One S will release on August 2nd, 2016, and will have a sweet-ass Gears of War, not God of War, Gears of War 4 themed system in October.
I'm disappointed in Microsoft at this moment, so...
I am not. I am not in the least.
Is the hard drive bigger on the system, or is it still
2 terabyte.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, that's a good
2 terabyte, and it's the cheapest 4K Blu-ray player on the market.
Right. Interesting.
And that God of War 4 is on my mind whenever I see GOW 4.
Yeah.
Gears of War 4 system is beautiful. I love that thing. That's the system I'm waiting for.
I'm gonna put it to you like this, from my perspective, all right, for myself, my own personal opinion. When Microsoft came out and started talking about the Scorpio at E3, right? Basically, any other system that they were going to put out after that, I was like, I'm just going to wait, dude. I mean, it's cool what they're doing, don't get me wrong, but, that Scorpio, like, when they start talking about the tech, and we talked about it on our E3 stuff for Game Break, if that system is going to be that system, then I'm holding off until that system comes out, because I just don't see that, like, I can understand people want to save space and they want to get the mini.
They're not appealing to you with the S, though. That's not who they're trying to get. You have to understand that.
Yeah, no, I do.
I don't think you do.
No, I do. But I'm sure there are other people out there who, are like, maybe I'm going to hold off, because of the Scorpio coming out.
There's plenty of people who are going to hold off, and that's fine because Microsoft's not targeting them with the One S. It's just like Sony is no longer targeting the people who want a PS4 with the Neo. They're going to be like, the Neo is the system if you want more power and if you want VR.
But after it leaked, the 42-page document leaked on it, it's essentially the same system. It's just going to play better on 4K TVs.
Right. I mean, the thing with the Neo and the Scorpio is they're more powerful systems to handle the VR, to handle the 4K, to handle more resolution. We're not really going to see the major, because I don't think Scorpio is going to be as big of a leap as it's being touted. I mean, nothing's ever as big of a leap as it's touted. Okay, until the next gen. Okay, this is to bridge. This is really what the system should have been this gen. Is what Neo and Scorpio are going to end up being.
I agree with that completely.
Like the One S, like that appeals to me because right now Chelsea and I, we have to have 2 Xboxes in our house because unfortunately that's what we both primarily play on. If we want to play together, we cannot both play on the same Xbox because nothing has split screen in this gen at all anymore. So we have to have 2 Xboxes. It makes sense for one of our Xboxes to be an S and one of them to end up being a Scorpio.
Sure.
So I mean, we will be selling her day one system to get an Xbox One S. And then we will sell my 1 terabyte next year to get the Scorpio. So for us, it makes sense. I mean, that at that point, the Slim goes into the bedroom. It's a perfect little bedroom system. Or I think that they're honestly taking the PS2 approach. Remember when the PS2 Slim came out? That was the cheapest Blu-ray player on the, or the cheapest DVD player on the market.
Right.
I think that's what this is going to end up being with 4K Blu-ray finally coming out this year, and it came out and it's getting a really big push right now. That 4K TVs are finally becoming affordable. I really think by this fall, early next spring, you could see an uptick in it. I mean, you're not going to see an uptick in games. PS4's already run away with that, but you hear, oh, it's a 4K Blu-ray player. Okay. No one cares about 3D Blu-ray. We found that out a long time ago, but 4K Blu-ray, hell yeah. Sign me up for that. I'm already buying 4K Blu-rays. Like, I want to see that beautiful picture clear quality.
You know, I'm actually glad you brought up the split screen thing. It was something I wanted to mention, taking a step back to the NES Mini, is you'll be able to couch co-op, which is such a fun experience that I can't believe has gone the way of the Dodo.
Yeah, it's very annoying. I mean, you know, I've said it many a time. When Chelsea and I first started dating almost 4 years ago, we played a lot of Halo 4. Halo 4 had just come out. I'd go over to her place. We'd play it all the time, and we could play split screen. And when Halo 5 came out, she was really, really disappointed because even on Master Chief Collection, we could still do split screen co-op, local co-op, or even multiplayer. We can't do that anymore. We can't do that with Halo 5. Like that's her favorite series. We can't do that. We had to buy 2 copies of the same game, and that is an incredibly annoying and aggravating experience. It just makes us not want to play multiplayer games anymore.
Right.
But we don't want to game together.
Well, I mean, it's one of the reasons that we get so excited that, you know, the news about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 possibly coming to the PS4, because there was trophies, a trophy list announced for it, that it's a game you can sit down in the same house with people and just play it and have fun and joke around and not have to buy multiple copies. You don't need to have an internet connection to have fun like this. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you're sitting around and you're just like, well, TV's kind of boring tonight. If you want to play, you can do it.
It's Diablo for Marvel fans.
It's the exceedingly rare game that you can do that with.
Yeah.
Like this gen, there's maybe 2 or 3 games you can do that. I think that's what the sole reason we bought Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare when it came out, the first one, because there was couch co-op, and then we ended up loving it. It's just... It's very aggravating, and it's like, well, if we gotta get another, if we're gonna end up getting a Scorpio next year, like we might as well go ahead and get a Slim this year because we're gonna have 2 systems regardless, and I want that ugly VCR out of my view.
Josh and his dislike of old things.
Yeah, the VCR needs to be retired. It looks ugly. Just God, I don't know who designed that thing, but it is horrendous. The Slim is sexy though.
All I have to ask is, where's my Castle Crashers 2? That's it. Just give it to me.
I don't know. You need to go yell at whoever makes those games because they are taking forever to make games these days.
Behemoth.
Behemoth games forever to
Yeah.
make titles. But we're going to go ahead and move
for
on.
2D games.
We have 2 more pieces of news. HBO has announced a delay for Game of Thrones Season 7. It will instead debut in June 2017 and will last for only 7 episodes. This is a departure from the series' spring premieres and 10-episode seasons. The showrunners say it's necessary given the events of the Season 6 finale and with the endgame being so close now.
Is this the endgame, though? Because that would, I mean, with
They
7
said-
episodes...
They said there's 2 seasons left, and they said with there being 2 seasons left, they can afford there to be shorter seasons, and they need to push the premiere back in order to film at a certain time.
Also,
if you are caught up, you know what
important
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Well, it's also important to notice that they haven't had any budget constraints put onto them, so that they're going huge
Oh, yeah.
for these 7 episodes.
The highest
It's not,
selling HBO series of all time.
it's not like, you know, they were like, okay, well, you guys started to taper off, so we're taking money away. It's the fact that they want to provide even better content, but in, you know, a smaller set series. Something that me and Josh have always said was that The Walking Dead first season is probably top 3, top 5 greatest seasons of television because of the length of it. It's so short, but it's so jam-packed with just action and tension and drama that you don't have any of that drag out like you do now in the show, where it doesn't really even need to be there. Like, you don't need to build that much drama and tension over that much time.
Right.
So shortening it to 7 seasons, or 7 episodes instead of 10, like, yeah, you're not going to get those extra 3 episodes, but those 7 episodes are going to be so jam-packed full of just amazing stuff that you're not even going to really notice.
So, for those of you listening to this, I have actually been going through Game of Thrones for the very first time over the past few weeks.
I'm more proud of you.
I am partway through season 4 right now. I'm only able to watch it on weekends whenever Chelsea's out of school, but we are blowing through about a season a weekend, if not a little bit more at this point. I think we spend like an entire Saturday doing nothing but watching a season of Game of Thrones. I pretty much just get up to cook, and that's about it. Excuse me. Hearing that it's going to go down from 10 to 7 episodes is a little disheartening because I've never once felt like the show has really
dragged on.
It's never really dragged on, but I'm still in the part where we're taking content from the books. I don't know how season 6 really turns out, if it dragged at any points. That was the first season of like wholly original content.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of really positive reception for this going to 7 episodes already. A lot of people are saying like this is going to be really good. And the showrunners today even said they always envisioned it ending with about 80 to 8 or about 70 to 75 hours of content. Mm-hmm. And they said right now we're sitting at about 60 to 65 hours. Or about 6. They said we're sitting at 60 hours. They said we envision it ending at 70 to 75. So they're like, all the pieces are there. We're moving them into place now for the finale.
Season 6 has arguably some of the best episodes you'll ever watch in the show. I'm sure you heard that too.
Right.
So they're riding
the
high
final
right
2
now.
especially.
Yeah, the final 2 are by the same director, and they are phenomenal. And I think they know they're riding high, so they're like, this is it. We need to go out like Breaking Bad did on a very high note with the series. I think it's a good move.
Right, and they also announced today that the final thing I'll say about the Game of Thrones renewal is they've optioned Kit Harington, Peter Dinklage, Lena Headey, Emilia Clarke, and God, I can never remember his name because it's so long, but the actor who plays Jaime.
Nikolai Coster-Waldau or whatever.
Yeah. All 5 of them have had their options picked up to earn the max on their contracts. They'll be making $500,000 each for every episode.
Wow.
That they are in through the end of the series. So they will be the highest paid actors on cable. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So kudos to them, but they're definitely earning it. That's for sure. Every actor on that series is earning it right now.
Yeah. Well, they carry the show. I mean, every actor, like Josh, you and I have talked about, all the actors are phenomenal, but they carry the show and they kind of add depth to it. You know what the show's all about. So.
Right. I mean, and definitely where the show's at now. I know what's going on in the show now. It's just I'm trying to figure out how we get there. I know what happens in the final episodes of season 6,
mm-hmm.
But you know arguably who the leads are at this. Finally, the show has some defined leads. For so long, you're wondering, like, after season 1, like, there's no Ned Stark. Like, who the hell is the lead in this show? You finally have an idea who that is, and that's being reflected now.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to see that, and I'm happy that the show is going to have an end game and not just drag on like George R.R. Martin is. The show might actually end before we get the 6th book.
Oh no, it's going to.
Like that's how sad this is.
Yeah, he's still holding the fans hostage. So
he really is. Like, it's just embarrassing. At this point, I don't think that 6th book will be read nearly as much. And I think that for really fans of the books even are going to hold the show as the true end of this epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are way more emotionally invested now in the show than I think they ever were in the books.
I mean, I was someone who tried to read the books. I got through the first 2. I slogged through them and was like, nope, I can't do this anymore. I enjoy books with a bunch of dialogue, but it was just too much for me. I was getting so lost and confused. Maybe I'm a simpleton when it comes to books, but I've always been very well read. I still am very well read.
See, I'll put it to you like this. The only reason I got through the books was because I read Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time first, and those books are way longer, way more confusing, and I still managed to somewhat keep up with them, but not really. Which again, that's actually being turned into a television show. So I'm really wondering how that one's going to turn out.
Yeah,
Especially with Game of Thrones going on. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I was done. Nope, no more. I gave up after book number 2. I hear it gets much easier with number 3, but I have no desire to ever go back to them. I'm very emotionally invested in the show. Like, I care about these characters now. I care about their futures. And from what I hear, like what they do in season 6, like it's above anything that could have been done in a book. So, like, it would never translate to the page. What happens, like, for example, in the episode of the Bastards, it never will translate to the page the way that it did on the screen. There's no way. So, that being said, our final piece of news, guys. Star Trek IV was confirmed the other day by producer J.J. Abrams, with Chris Hemsworth returning somehow as George Kirk. No release date has been set yet, but Abrams also confirmed that he will not be replacing Anton Yelchin as Ensign Chekhov, and no decision has been made regarding the character's future. That's actually really, really comforting to hear.
Yeah.
That he has no plans to replace the character, to recast him. I hope they just like peacefully write him out. Maybe say, like, he was transferred back home, and he's like a captain in Starfleet, like of another ship or something.
Yeah. Or he had to head back home for whatever reason, back to Russia. Yeah.
Yeah, like something's going. They find a way to keep him alive in the universe.
It makes it awkward a lot of times when they rewrite a character, because that's all people can focus on when they watch it. They're like, oh.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to recast, and I don't think that he would have wanted that either.
No.
That's exactly how I feel every time I try to go back and rewatch Spartacus.
Andy Whitaker. Yep.
And Andy, it wasn't Whitaker. It was Andy. Was it Whitefield?
Whitfield? Andy Whitfield?
Whitfield. Yeah, Andy Whitfield. That's what it is. Phenomenal Spartacus. Unfortunately, passed away from cancer. And the guy who replaced him was good, but if you try to marathon it, it's so jarring, because you're so invested in him as a person that I've never been able to make it through to even the 3rd season. Like, I'm just like, I can't do it. So it's cool to hear that they're not going to replace him, number one. Hopefully it's something fitting like Paul Walker with Fast 7. And there's some song that we can torment Ray with if they do it. So.
Yeah, I really hope they do that. But, I mean, it happened so close to the release of the film that I don't know if they'll be able to do anything other than just, like, something at the end credits.
It's like a Heath Ledger type situation.
No, this is even more recent. I mean, Heath Ledger died about 8 or 9 months before the movie came out. Anton Yelchin literally died like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Literally passed away at the end of June. And the movie releases in 4 or 5 days. That's enough to, put maybe a quick montage of his character from the films, and a quick message from the crew or something. Obviously, his presence is going to be very heavily felt at the premieres of the film. You can kind of feel that. If you look at some of the pictures of the premieres, it's been very somber.
His family, though, did something really nice. They took out a full-page ad in the Hollywood Reporter thanking the cast, the crew, and especially all the fans who sent them nothing but, warm, loving messages of, comfort. And they were very thankful. And, I mean, he was definitely somebody cut down long before his time was due. So, Star Trek IV, bringing back Chris Hemsworth to get it a little bit more on a positive track. I really hope they don't play with the timeline again, because that gets annoying. As somebody who watches Doctor Who, it does get kind of tedious.
I mean, you're going to have to bring him back, though. That's the worst.
I mean, unless it's flashbacks, man, or recordings or something like that. But if he's coming back as a full character, then obviously, yeah.
That's my thing. If they're already saying that Hemsworth is going to be back, he's going to be back as a full character.
He's a Hollywood star now. He's not just going to be back for...
When they had him in that, he was basically a nobody.
2009.
Well, he hadn't even done Thor yet, so...
No, he hadn't even started filming Thor when that came out.
He just finished Cabin in the Woods. Like, he was still no one at that
Oh
point.
my God, Cabin in the Woods. Holy crap.
Phenomenal movie. Love it.
Yeah.
But, gentlemen, do you know what time of the week it is?
Well,
Topic of the week.
topic of the week.
Topic of the week this week. Guys, San Diego Comic-Con is upon us. It's one of our favorite times of the year. Summer is the time for the nerd, not for summer D-League basketball, as some people would have you think. Comic-Con this year, we thought it wasn't going to have a lot to do with it, but now we're finding out that a lot of things are going to be there. What are some of our predictions? What are we expecting out of this San Diego Comic-Con? Let's start it off. Josh, give me some stuff.
Well, Marvel kind of revealed their big thing early with the whole Marvel Now initiative. I really felt they were going to save that for the actual con, but instead I think two of the big things they're really going to save and focus on are one, the big Spider-Man event for the fall, the Clone Conspiracy. Really, that's kicking off in August with Dead No More, which is the event we've had teased all year with with kind of Uncle Ben appearing in front of a mob. I'm thinking we're going to get that not teased. I think we're really going to get the concrete details, since we'll be about 2 weeks out from that actually starting. And that's supposed to encompass the whole Spider-Verse, as far as I know. There's been hints to Spider-Man's loved ones all coming back, from Gwen Stacy to Uncle Ben. The Jackal, who's long been involved in trying to clone Peter Parker, has been hinted to be involved in this and has outright been seen in a few issues of Amazing Spider-Man from Dan Slott since it started up again after Secret Wars. The Rhino has been seen again, and he was killed off several years ago. There's some very interesting stuff revolving around that. The other big thing I think we're going to get from Marvel is the future of Star Wars comics. Darth Vader is ending in September with issue number 25, and that has actually been one of Marvel's best-selling comics for the past 2 years. People really underestimate how big that has been for Marvel, selling about 200,000-300,000 copies a month. That has actually been bigger.
Those are solid numbers, yeah.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest of any publisher, month after month. It's been bigger than the main Star Wars comic, I believe, too. With that coming to an end, the only two ongoing that they still have are the main Star Wars comic, which is lacking strongly in comparison to Darth Vader, and Poe Dameron, which also is not nearly as good as Darth Vader, but tells a very different story. I suspect that we'll hear about some replacement titles for Darth Vader going forward. A little surprised we didn't hear about some at Celebration. If we did, I certainly didn't hear about them. Probably going to get another Rebels tie-in comic, but I also think that we will get one that will either lead into Rogue One, even though that one supposedly got canceled, and then possibly one that will lead into The Force Awakens / Episode 8, since Episode 8 is going to pick up right where 7 ended at.
Right.
So I think that's what we can expect to see from Marvel on the comic side. On the film side, we know we're seeing Doctor Strange. So expect trailer number 2 to hit the internet Saturday night after the Hall H presentation. It'd be absurd for that not to hit the internet. Do not expect the Guardians footage to hit the internet. James Gunn has already said he's not releasing that publicly. And you will not have another Suicide Squad repeat because Disney basically has snipers in Hall H.
Yep.
Other than that, I really don't know what we could see. Maybe a formal casting announcement from Disney for Infinity War, since that is starting to film in 2.5 months. They did it for the Avengers several years ago. Other than that, maybe we actually get the full-on official cast for Spider-Man Homecoming. Maybe a clip from Homecoming is shown there. Again, will not be released outside of Comic-Con. Those are the only things I can really see shown at the Marvel Studios panel.
I think they showed something from Luke Cage with it being released so soon.
Oh, well, that'll be at Marvel Television, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel Television, they've already said that they will show the pilot for Luke Cage.
Cool.
The first episode will be screened there, along with the cast. So Mike Coulter will be there. Marsha Ali will be there, and oh God, forgetting her name. There's one other principal who will be there for sure. Alfie Woodard.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
She'll be there. Those three are for sure confirmed to be there, along with the showrunners. And I think we might be getting a surprise from Kristen Ritter. I think she might show up too. She's not confirmed to, but I'm pretty sure she'll show up. And there is no Iron Fist panel as far as I'm aware.
No,
which is that's really strange to me.
Well, I don't think they've even started filming because they haven't finished casting.
Yes, they have. They have started filming. They started filming a month or two ago.
I didn't think they were done with casting yet.
Because they only officially announced a couple of names, and that's all they're going to announce for it.
I think that one's one that they're going to keep under wraps big time.
They'll probably keep it under wraps until Luke Cage comes out, because they kept Luke Cage largely under wraps, even though it was filming until Jessica Jones came out.
Right.
I'm very eager to see what form Iron Fist takes on, especially having seen a lot more of Finn Jones now through Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. The other the final big panel for Marvel, I guess, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4. I'm very curious to see what they talk about, considering the teases that they've been giving out with trains and buses covered in flaming chains. So help me God, if it is that poser Ghost Rider again, I'm going to be really upset. I'd really be happy if it was a legit Ghost Rider, though. I don't think it will be, but if it was a legit Ghost Rider, I'd be happy. I think that this season's going to really start signaling the end for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., though. We're approaching that magical 5-season run, which means syndication. So, yeah. I just think it's a weird. I also think it's a weird jump to go from where they were at the end of season 3 to all of a sudden go into the supernatural realm. I mean, I know we have Doctor Strange coming out and whatnot, but there were no hints at the supernatural for most of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, we went from season 1 to suddenly having the Kree and the Inhumans also, so...
Well, I mean, but the storyline was building to that, right? There was no even semi-build-up to a supernatural realm in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so it'd be kind of weird all of a sudden, Ghost Rider shows up and he's like, well, we gotta go fight Blackheart now, or the Queen of Demons, and it's just Lilith, that's her name. Have to go fight Lilith.
I think they would introduce him and have him in there for a few episodes and then spin him off. I don't think they would actually fight Blackheart. And I believe there was a newer Ghost Rider who was actually partially an Inhuman. I want to say that's correct. One of the newer Ghost Riders, in the past year or two. Not Johnny Blaze, but a different one.
Oh, it wasn't Danny Ketch either.
No, it's not one of the two decently well-known ones.
Mm-hmm.
There were twin ones, I believe. If they were to do them, then I could see getting around that. But at that point, I don't see why you wouldn't just greenlight it for a Netflix series 2 years down the road. I mean, you could always introduce them and then spin them off and be like, oh, hey, they're part of the Defenders now. But ABC is the king of making kind of dumb decisions when it comes to this show, so I don't know. What do you guys got for us?
Nick?
I'm not totally privy to what's going on in Comic-Con yet. I've been so busy, but a couple things I have seen I'm excited for are obviously more, a little known thing that's taken the country by storm, Pokemon Go. They're going to be giving us more information on that and what they're going to be doing with that. So that's really cool because I know we've all been absolutely going crazy with it. And then Ryan Reynolds has been teasing a lot of news about Deadpool 2. And he's been there and he's been saying look out for something. So I'm excited to see what he does with that. So those are a couple things I've seen that have really got my interest peaked, you know. So
Yeah. From the DC side of things, I think they show a little bit more. Or no, they won't because it'll be out by then. No, they will probably show a few things from Suicide Squad leading up into the release of the movie, which is coming out August 5th. On the comic side, and I'm going to go back to movies, obviously. The comic side, because of Rebirth just happening, I really can't imagine any huge announcements happening. Maybe some, old names that are going to have new titles. Hopefully, they finally announce a Shazam title because I've been waiting on that since Rebirth started. Really for comics, man, that's all I can think of.
you think maybe Injustice? Would we get an Injustice because the game? You gonna do that again?
Well, I mean,
Injustice
Injustice
is ongoing.
Yeah, it's an ongoing series that is unaffected by anything that happens in the regular DC universe because it's its own like alternate reality. So I mean, they're on what year 7 now or something like that. So I mean, Injustice is going to do what Injustice does. People still read it. The games are still very popular. But year 5, thank you. But I mean, on the comic book side, because of Rebirth just happening, I think to announce another huge major event would be kind of wastely for them, especially when their focus needs to be on their entertainment side. I think there is going to be a CW panel. There's some rumors floating around about Batwoman, Batman, and Oracle showing up on the shows eventually. We do know that Constantine has been rumored to have its own show now on CW or will be in development, which is really cool because Matt Ryan's episode on Arrow was one of the highest rated of the season last season. It was really good. I enjoyed it. So when we get down to it, I think we do hear some announcements of that. I wouldn't be surprised if they talk about Arrow finally coming to some sort of end. That show is a mess right now, unless they start either getting rid of characters or I don't know what they're gonna do. I think we'll finally hear word on Vixen, if she's going to get her own spin-off series, or maybe she joins the Legends of Tomorrow, something like that. There is going to be a ton of Legends of Tomorrow stuff since they're gonna retool that show. They're recasting it because it's supposed to be every season it's a new story. Right. Going back to the movie side, though, we will see the video of Wonder Woman. It's coming at San Diego Comic-Con. That is definitely happening. If they don't show it, there will be a lot of angry people at DC. The film has wrapped. We know that. Pictures are coming out from the filming of it, showing both Diana and Chris Pine, Steve Trevor, Gal Gadot plays Wonder Woman, Diana Prince. So we should see either the first trailer, which I'm not too sure about. If not, we will see a sizzle reel for sure. That is happening. And then maybe we will see a tiny sizzle reel of Justice League since it's filming.
So I want to go to. I actually want to go to way back to DC Comics first.
Sure.
To address the event. I think they actually will tease an event, but it will be largely kept to 2 or 3 comics. If you've read the Rebirth special, and if you've been keeping up, if you've read the first couple issues of Titans and such, you kind of know what Titans is doing. It's investigating what happened with the universe and why the New 52 actually existed. I don't know if they'll actually. I don't think they're going to get to it this year. I think they're going to tease it very briefly for next spring. Next spring / next. I think next summer is when they're really going to go into that. Next summer will probably be the big event. when the characters kind of start figuring that out, and but they might start exploring that in Flash, Batman, and Titans. Those would probably be the 3 books that would have the biggest potential to explore that, because those are the 3 that are kind of the most connected in that special to that event. But again, that's a very outside chance that they would even bring that up. It is still very soon. I think at most we still get a couple more Rebirth titles. We hear about how big of a success Rebirth was.
Yeah, exactly.
Etc. I really hope they stop this whole nonsense of doing one-shots and then doing number ones. Like, just call it what it is. Do a number 1 and then start the series. It's getting really annoying how I have to order a number 1 and then I have to order the actual series. I hate doing that at my shop. It's getting old. Then on the CW side, the end game for Arrow, I think, definitely needs to start coming into play. I think they're going to see the reception to seasons 3 and 4. I would not be surprised to hear season 5 start working towards an end game, if not be the end game. And maybe at the end of the season, have Oliver join the Legends of Tomorrow as a permanent cast member.
Right.
Stephen Amell is just way too positively received. He is still an amazing Oliver Queen, regardless of how terrible that show is. He's too big to waste. Him and Diggle are too big to waste on that show. That's my personal opinion, though.
I think that's everybody's opinion.
And they're really the only reason to even attempt to watch that show. And like I said, I haven't tried to watch it since about mid-season 3, and I have no desire to go back to it at this stage. And as for bringing the Bat family into this, I've long said that I think that Batman and Superman would be brought in the series finale of Legends of Tomorrow, and not before that. Because I firmly believed it would be Batman. I firmly believed it would be Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill being in there as a cameo role to finally bring the multiverse together.
But Supergirl has cast a Superman.
Right, which throws all of that out the window. I don't know how I like any of this playing out. I guess we'll see. You know, we've all said that we think that Legends of Tomorrow will eventually become a Justice League show.
Or Justice Society.
Right, and with Supergirl now being on the CW, that is actually a firm possibility, with them casting a Superman, with them having Martian Manhunter on that show, now with the rumor of Batman appearing on Legends of Tomorrow, with Green Arrow running around, with Flash running around. Like, it is actually a distinct possibility we can have a Justice League. I would be very excited to see that. If you do this, oh God, I need a Tom Welling cameo at some point. That's all I ask for, is a Tom Welling cameo. In the actual suit, please God. Another, I really think Legends of Tomorrow is going to have a breakout year next year. I liked what they were doing this year. If you removed Hawkman and Hawkgirl, it would have been an awesome show. They were hands down the absolute weakest part, and they need to go. They need to disappear. I don't need to hear about how she was a barista every episode. I don't care. I literally could not have ever cared less about those characters.
Which is sad, because Hawkman's one of my favorite characters from DC.
Yeah. If you care about him, do not ever watch Legends of Tomorrow. You will hate the character by the end.
No, I hated him after the first episode.
Oh, good. We're on the same page then.
Yeah.
And then lastly, when it comes to the movies, I actually do not think we will get much for Suicide Squad. I think we'll get like pumped up, like, oh, the movie's coming out next week.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that it's going to be like this big major thing. I really think it's just going to be like maybe a sizzle reel that, you know, for the hall, just for themselves, to pump everybody up. Nothing like a new trailer, because that would just be silly.
I think like Leto and Margot Robbie might be there. Maybe Will Smith. Like I think they might have a couple of the big stars there to like promote it and like do a signing or something. Wonder Woman will be the focus of that whole panel.
Yeah.
They will show footage there. They will show some behind the scenes. Gal Gadot will be there. Chris Pine will be there. Patty Jenkins will be there. I guarantee you, some of the others. Robin Wright will probably be there. They will probably reveal that Ares is the villain of the film. The footage that they show, though, I think they're going to attempt to keep it under wraps, like the Suicide Squad footage was supposed to be last year. I think security is going to be a lot stricter this year, because everybody has to remember we're 11 months out from this film. Last year we were 11 months out, or we were 13 months out from Suicide Squad, and everybody's panicking because we hadn't seen anything, and they were like, "Oh, well, why does that have to be protected?" Because people are paying to go to this con. They're waiting all night to get into this. Like, we don't need to see this. If I don't get to see the Wonder Woman tease, like, I'm gonna be okay with that, even though it's probably my most anticipated comic book film right now. Like, I'm okay with waiting. I'm okay with waiting until the fall when they decide to show it to me, probably in front of Doctor Strange. I'm fine with that. Justice League, I would almost guarantee you we are not even getting a tease of. They've already said that it's not going to be there. Like, Justice League is not going to be there in any way, shape, or form, because they're still shooting and they want Snyder to be completely focused on it. Jeff Johns, I think, will be at the panel to talk long-term plans, just kind of give an update on filming, maybe show some production art. But outside of that, I can't imagine them saying anything. We might get an announcement of what some of those untitled films are, but outside of that, I can't really imagine too much. Because the DC film panel, I believe, is shared with Warner Brothers as a whole. So it's not like Marvel, where Marvel gets their full hour and a half. Like, DC has to share that with Warner Brothers. I don't think that they're going to have too much to show. Comic-Con's happening at a really awkward time, and Warner Brothers' schedule is really awkward for the next 2 years. So next year they'll have a ton to show.
Yeah, for sure. Do we think anything else is going to happen? Anything big? Because I mean, personally, I feel that is the biggest stuff that people are going to be focusing on.
I think Fox will have absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we know that. I mean, they already announced the Fox Marvel TV show, which will not be Legion, thank God.
Fox will have... No, well, Legion is still happening on FX. This is actually replacing Hellfire.
Right.
They've already announced that we might get some casting for it. Or even a proper name, I don't know. Fox will actually have Wolverine 3. I completely forgot that was even a thing. That's coming out next March. It's still targeted for next March. We probably were supposed to see Gambit, but Gambit's been pushed to like late spring start date. And Deadpool 2, it's targeted to start next spring, but we don't even know about that. We might hear about who they're considering for Cable, but even that feels really, really early. I just feel like if we hear about Cable or even anything for Deadpool 2, it's going to feel really forced. That's my personal opinion, but Ryan Reynolds is saying he's going to be at Comic-Con, so you never know.
Yeah.
He tweeted out a picture today that he's signing all sorts of Blu-rays that he's going to be giving away all week. So, I don't know. It seems as good of a time as any for him to make an announcement for Deadpool 2, like, hey, this is when we're going to release it, like for in the pop-up at the end of the Wolverine panel or something.
Yeah. The hype train is still so high with that right now. He's trying to keep it going.
I feel like he's like the only one trying to keep it going, though, at this point.
I'm glad. Because it's my favorite character, and I'm glad he's like so dedicated to it, though,
Yeah. Other than that, I don't see anything else huge happening. We'll see some more from Kong Skull Island. We'll probably see some stuff from the next Godzilla film coming. I really don't... Maybe some production art from Pacific Rim 2.
I was about to say Pacific Rim 2, yeah.
Something that's coming out 2018. But that's still pretty far. That's about a year and a half off still. Other than that, I really don't know. Telltale Games is doing a panel where they're actually going to do a live crowd play of the first episode of the Telltale Batman game hosted by Greg Miller. And there's going to be a live panel for the Injustice game where The Flash is rumored to be shown off for the first time. So some really cool things going on the gaming side, too.
Hopefully he won't look like Ezra Miller.
No, he looks like Robo Flash, so he does look like Ezra Miller.
Just looks so goofy.
Anyways, that's all I have. I'm done.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap up Topic of the Week this week, guys. Thank you very much for listening to us, as always, because we love you oh so much. Shout-outs. Nicholas, you got any?
Shout out to Ray. We miss you and love you. Shout out to who else? Shout out to shout out to you guys because we haven't been on a show in a while together, and I'm glad to be here again, and I miss you. And I don't have many other shout outs, but I feel like those were important to me, so that's all that matters.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Praise
Joshua, shout-outs for the week.
Oh man, shout out to Peter Jackson. I have been rewatching the extended Lord of the Rings over the last couple of days.
Those of us who are on your Twitter know.
Yeah, I've been rewatching the extended Lord of the Rings while I've been working on job applications, and just in the evenings while I've been house sitting and cat sitting for my aunt. And it's been a solid almost a year since I've watched them. I'm a firm believer you have to watch those at least once a year, the extended editions, to fully appreciate them. And man, they have not aged a day.
No.
Holy crap. Whereas Chelsea loves the Hobbit movies because she's just such a Tolkien fanatic. And I have never watched the third Hobbit movie because I just refused to watch it. I thought the first two were bad enough. And so we got the extended editions on an Amazon deal of the day about a week and a half ago in a nice box set, which goes right next to my Lord of the Rings Blu-ray box set. I tried to watch those, and they have already aged. And they came out like four or 5 years ago, something like that. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring came out in 2001, and it's still one of the greatest looking films I've ever seen. It has not aged a day. Fellowship of the Ring is, in my opinion, one of the top 5 greatest films you will ever see. It is the best Lord of the Rings movie, and I will fight anybody who argues otherwise.
Yeah.
It is
I think
most...
the soundtrack, I think, is only second to Star Wars. They nailed the soundtrack.
Well, I mean, when you have 2 years to prepare versus 2 months to prepare, it kind of shows.
I mean, it's not even just that. I cry every single time Frodo is standing there on the river. He's standing there on the river alone after you've seen Boromir die. He's standing there on the river, looking at the ring, and he has the flashback to Gandalf talking to him in the Mines of Moria, telling him that all you have to do is decide what to do with the time that is given to you. When he's saying he wishes the ring had never come to him. And Frodo, he makes his decision. He puts the ring inside his shirt and starts rowing away by himself, and Sam comes running after him through the water, even though he can't swim. And Frodo has to save him, and Sam's, crying, telling him, Gandalf told me, don't you leave him. They're crying together. And you see just the music that is playing makes me cry every single time. And you see Boromir's funeral, and they're hiking again. And that's just the last 10 minutes is such a gut punch.
Yeah. From
From the moment that Boromir dies, defending Merry and Pippin, Aragorn's fight, Frodo's Peter Jackson is just a god among men.
It's that entire. You're right. When he looks down at him, he kneels down. He says, "I would have followed you to the very end into the fires." And he stands up in slow motion and holds the sword, and just goes at the oncoming orcs. God, I love that scene. I love that scene with Aragorn. Yeah.
Oh, that is one of the few movies where the music makes all the difference.
Yeah.
But if we do this, we're going to do an entire extended cut episode of this episode talking about the music and the cinematography of the Lord of the Rings. So, Kiku, take us away.
Well,
take us
you
on.
just hit the longest shout out that has ever been given, and congratulations! I'll send you your trophy in the mail. Shout outs to Rick Remender and Sean G. Murphy. Thank you for Tokyo Ghost. It continues to blow my mind. I love it. It's my favorite comic book series right now. Shout out to Niantic. It might be buggy, but Pokemon Go is the shit. So keep it up, guys. Keep it up. So with that, I'm closing down Neek the Podcast tonight. Josh already took off. He had to go potty. Because that's what he does.
Yeah.
So for me and Nick, guys, have a good week. Thanks for listening. And as always, keep it nerdy.
Bye-bye.